Hello, everybody. We are here in the second round of the Cup matches. I am joined by Satan here on comms. We have a very
Hello.
exciting match for you. This is Pixixy versus Tzim. This will be the 10th time they've played in SBL history, which is pretty crazy. Pixixy is ahead 6-3, so we'll see how that goes. You want to talk about the teams, Satan?
Yes. So first up, we have Tzim's team with his recent star, the Petulant, with a very standard nasty plot set with dual stab. Terra Fairy here is very interesting, most likely looking to resist or be immune to attacks from the Roaring Moon from Pixixy's side. Up next is Moltres with Focus Sash, most likely just trying to get off Tailwind and then output some damage if it can. Very standard set, Heat Wave and Air Slash, just more dual stab. Next is the Scrafty with its classic Fake Out and Intimidate. Once again, just dual stab of close combat and knockoff. A Terra Poison here, looking most likely to just flip its resistances if possible, and flip its weaknesses as well. Grimmsnarl, very standard set once again with the Light Clay and dual screens. Spirit Break just to do damage, and then T-Wave to annoy Pixixy's team as much as he can. This next one I think is the most interesting set. A Deoxys with Power Herb Meteor Beam. Looking most likely to try and OHKO a Gyarados, although we'll see if it can do that to begin with. And then lastly, we have Empoleon with another dual stab set, and it's the Citrus Berry looking to keep itself alive. Vacuum Wave as well for priority. Should be interesting to see what Tzim's team can do, just because most of these Pokemon are fairly bulky and can take a lot of hits.
Yeah, I think this is like some pretty standard sets overall, but they're standard for a reason. I think running the dual stabs is just making the most of a lot of these Pokemon. Yeah, seeing that Deoxys set, I know both Pixixy and Tzim like to run their Mons very bulky, so if that Meteor Beam actually works out to take out the Gyarados, I'd be surprised, but we'll have to see, right? And with that, we can take a look at Pixixy's team. We have kind of a similar Mew to some of the sets we've been seeing. There's coaching and light screen, so some support options, and still that stab psychic noise to do some damage. We also have the Roaring Moon with the double stabs, the knockoff, and the Dragon Claw, and also the Iron Head. So we can look out for that. That Petulant with the Terra Fairy will still be threatened from Roaring Moon even after the Terrestrialization. We have a pretty supportive Gyarados set, a Taunt and Thunder Wave with Waterfall. You get that nasty combo of the flinches from the Waterfall and the paralysis from the Thunder Wave, which could really, slow down the pace of the game. On the other side of that is you have this Choice Specs Magnezone, which I think we've seen from a lot of Pixixy's games can hit very hard with those stab attacks, the Thunderbolt, the Volt Switch. So I'd be curious to see how much damage that ends up doing. Bramblegast, similarly with Poltergeist, can do a lot. Pain Split is an interesting choice here. I wonder where that's going to kind of come in. Sometimes we might see something like a Strength Sap in that slot, but I'm curious what the idea was with Pain Split. That looks pretty interesting. And then finally, the Speed Boost Blaziken with Brick Break to take care of maybe potential screen from that Grimmsnarl, as well as the Stab Flare Blitz and Rock Slide to hit, as well as to hit some of the other Pokemon here. So it's pretty interesting sets here. I think a lot of the normal stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I think the Pain Split most likely is to just chip away at some of these bulkier Pokemon from Tzim's team. Depending on how much HP investment they have, it could, and how little investment Bramblegast has, it could potentially take them down really low just from one move, which
that's a good point.
Regular damage moves might not be able to do.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. I guess I'm only looking at that. There's the Deoxys and the Petulant, which both have not the highest HP stats. I mean, inherently, obviously with investment that changes, but so I'd be curious to see how much work that actually puts. I genuinely just don't really know, right? With that, I think we're getting to the first game here. Game 1 of this best of 5 set. I'm curious to see. Mew has had some good matches and some other. I'm curious to see how much work Mew does here. And here we see actually the Gyarados in the Roaring Moon versus the Scrafty and the Pecharon.
Okay, well, Intimidate is going to lower the attack of every Pokemon on this field, as we see Intimidate go off on both sides. Doesn't affect the Pecharon at all.
Right. The Pecharon doesn't care. We get the booster energy. That will be the speed boost on the Roaring Moon, guaranteeing that it is definitely the fastest thing in the field, which I don't think it really had a problem with doing that before, but, we'll see that. And then the Scrafty here is pressuring Fake Out to stop any attack from either the Gyarados or the Roaring Moon, and letting the Pecharon potentially go for a nasty plot, right, to get going. So we'll see what they opt for here.
I wouldn't be shocked if the Roaring Moon was originally attack booster, but turned into booster speed because of that Intimidate.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. That's a very interesting
point. In comes the Mew.
Does swap out. Yeah, the Mew. Huh. Double switch here. We see, I believe that's the Grimmsnarl coming in. So, opting in for the Dark types to potentially take a Fake Out. The Fake Out does go into, take a knockoff, that is. Thunder Wave going into the Grimmsnarl, which it doesn't care too much because it's mostly using those prankster moves anyway. But of course, there is always the chance of the full paralysis, right?
Yeah. A full paralysis could be pretty bad here if the Gyarados wants to go for a taunt into that same slot.
Yeah, I think we might be seeing a pretty slow-paced game, but both sides having the opportunity to use Thunder Wave and use these more defensive options. So I'll be curious to see kind of who takes the edge here. The Mew having options for coaching. Yeah,
interesting to note here, the Mew actually cannot deal any damage to either of Tzim's Pokemon, as its only attacking move is Psychic Noise. So
that's true.
I'm not quite sure what it's going to be looking to do here.
Yeah, we could start coaching up, for example, the Gyarados to boost up those waterfalls, but I don't know the exact investment on Gyarados, but we do see the Terastallization here. Is that that's the Mew going Terra Poison, trying to avoid, I guess, the knockoff damage from the from that Scrafty, right?
Yeah, most likely.
Thunder Wave coming out into the Mew makes enough sense. I would assume it's now slower than the Gyarados, so if the coaching came out, it would actually come out. Oh, the synchronizability activating there, but not actually mattering. But Lumberry curing the Mew. So Raymond came prepared. Pixixy came prepared for that Thunder Wave with the Lumberry. And it
allows that coaching to go off.
Yeah.
Before the Gyarados, although the Gyarados did not go for an attacking move, so it didn't completely matter.
And that knockoff doing no damage given the Lumberry on. So I think this is exactly where Pixixy wants to be, right? He had that tech for the Thunder Wave. He got the taunt off into the Grimmsnarl, who wants to be using those prankster supporting moves. And now it's time to start coaching and getting this Gyarados in position to really do a lot of damage, right?
Yeah, I don't think that Grimmsnarl is going to be doing much of anything right now with a physical move against a boosted Gyarados and a resist from the Mew.
Yeah, the Grimmsnarl is pretty much useless. The Scrafty here has knockoff in close combat, but neither of these are going to be doing that much damage to these Pokemon. So Tzim needs to find a way quickly to retaliate some damage here, because I think as far as Pixixy, he can just keep coaching and coaching with basically no punishment. So it'll be interesting to see what Tzim does here.
And leaving the Scrafty in is very interesting because it still has that -1 from the Intimidate.
Yeah, that's true. We bring the Grimmsnarl out since it was useless. He has the Deoxys, which does have that option for the Meteor Beam, so we will see that potentially come into play here. Waterfall coming out. That was a critical hit, so yeah, the Intimidate was already... It wasn't Intimidated because of the covert... because of the coaching boost, but yeah, that's pretty big damage in this game, I think, because again, coaching is just available to go for again and again here.
I do wonder if that Meteor Beam is going to even do much, because that Gyarados can just protect and make sure it doesn't connect.
Yeah, it's kind of this mind game of if he can avoid taking that Meteor Beam, right? Because just a simple protect, like you said, just blocks that, right? So, and that's looks like it might be Tzim's only big option to get damage off, right? Light screen coming out, so it's gonna be even mitigating that meteor beam damage even more. So Protect might not even need to come out from this, and we see a Thunder Wave as well. Wow.
Yeah, depending on if this Deoxys gets to attack or not, that could be very big.
Yeah. Okay, the meteor beam does come out. So the first question is, will it actually connect? Because the unfortunate thing about meteor beam with power is you get to sit through this whole animation, and you could still miss, but no, it does come out. And how much does it could do this Gyarados? It's not much at all. It's almost nothing.
That would be like, I think, maybe 50% without the light screen.
Yeah, the light screen adding up.
If even that.
Yeah, if even, right? The Deoxys is just not known. The Deoxys defense, it's called defense for a reason, right? It's not really known for its offensive prowess. So, the one option it could go for is it could keep clicking the Meteor Beam to boost its special attack, right? Because it's not in that much danger and it can recover any help, it can recover anything it needs to do. But the Grimmsnarl unable to move this turn. Psychic coming out into the resisted target. Pixixy reading that and switching out his poison type Mew to take the resisted Psychic, which is doing no damage.
All of Tzim's Pokemon are now paralyzed on the field currently. So
yeah,
whatever that full para from the Grimmsnarl was last turn was most likely very big. We could have seen a Reflect or a Light Screen, but now he has to choose between the two of whether to try and resist the Gyarados or the Magnezone's moves.
Okay, he actually switches out the Gyarados, which is interesting. It did have a defense boost, but that's not really coming up here. Light Screen does get to come out here. This is still a Choice Specs Magnezone. Super effective Flash Cannon going to come out to the Grimmsnarl and just take it out through that Light Screen.
Yeah, I don't think that's very surprising, unfortunately, for Tzim.
Yeah.
And now this Deoxys is not doing much of anything to either of these Pokemon.
Yeah, it seems Pixixy is really taking very little damage from Tzim's attacks and doing just a lot of damage in return. The trades just aren't equal for And the one option you do have, which is the nasty plot on the Petrant is just really pressured now because it's gonna be weak to that knockoff from Roaring Moon, and if it decides to tear, it's actually weak to that super effective Choice Specs Flash Cannon that's locked into from the Magnezone. So it's in a really tough spot here. It's the truth. We'll see Protect trying to... Yeah.
Most likely trying to scout for whatever...
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Pixixy chooses to double into the Petrant, but I think he could afford to do that because, again, this Deoxys really just isn't providing any offense here. And gets a Psychic off, but it's a resisted target, and the other option is an immunity, so it's really absolutely no threat here. So Pixixy can just go for that play again and just double into the Petrant with no downside, is the truth. Yeah, Tzim's just running out of options here is unfortunately the case, and Petrant has a lot of defensive bulk, but I'm sure it'll still take a lot from this. Well, if it's super effective knockoff, then it'll take a lot, but if it's either way, you're gonna take a lot of damage, right? There's kind of no way.
I think the terrestrialization hurts it more than helps it in this case, just because its physical defense is so much higher than its special defense.
I would definitely agree with that, and it can
still do see the tear come out though.
Yeah, which is a fair option. It has options for the Malignant Chain and the Shadow Ball, but either of those are going to do that much damage, right? Because I believe the Light Screen is still set there. That is the Deoxys going for Protect, presumably. Knockoff coming through, so I would expect a Flash Can from this Magnezone. Okay, Nasty Plot coming out first. Now the question is, will Petrant even get a chance to use his attack, right? This Flash Can come in. Light Screen's up on this side. So it takes
it. Does live.
Not well. Now you're under threat of the Iron Head coming out from that Roaring Moon. So if Petrant is gonna get an attack off, now is the time. And I don't know if it will be able to, is the truth.
Yeah, I think it's very up in the air, depending on how much attack investment this Roaring Moon has.
Yeah, here comes the Iron Head. It does just take out that Petrant. I'm not too surprised. Roaring Moon does have a very high attack stat, and with that, I think that's kind of the last of last offense that Tzim really has, because this Deoxys just can't do much in these specs moves. I mean, that's not even doing that much. Deoxys, well, the speed F drop is helping speed up the game for sure, right? But the paralysis, it's just everything's working against Tzim's favor here. It feels like.
I'm a bit surprised he didn't bring in the Scrafty earlier, because it can deal super effective against both of these Pokemon. But
yeah, that's
we'll have
true.
to see if it can put in the work at the last second here.
Yeah, maybe even the Intimidate could have potentially saved the Petron from the Iron Head. I don't know. Obviously, very tough to say. But like you said, a super effective close combat looks pretty good into both of these targets. Again, it'll be interesting to see. Again, they're both, but yeah, Roaring Moon and Magma Zone are both doing a lot of damage. The Roaring Moon actually switching out, presumably back into that Terra Poison Mew to take. Oh no, this is actually the Gyarados going for the Intimidate, which that also makes a lot of sense, right? You want to just reduce the damage output of that Scrafty no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of what the Scrafty clicks, if it's close combat or knockoff, it's not going to do that much, because close combat's resisted and knockoff has already been clicked into that Gyarados, so its item is gone.
The double switch here, what close combat doing? That was a critical hit. I was going to say that's
that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. And another paralysis for this Deoxys, poor guy. I mean, again, even if he did move, I mean, maybe he clicked Psychic into the Mew slot, but I don't even know how much damage that's really gonna do. Uh-oh. Tzim, considering just to run away from this battle, doesn't even want to play it out, but maybe, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see this Deoxys get to move. Unfortunately, it has just been stuck on the field for too long, with too many turns paralyzed.
There's a world, again, we can maybe just keep Meteor Beaming up and keep recovering and maybe just like kind of live everything and boost, but I don't know if that's going to work out. We actually see the Psychic Noise, which will prevent the recover as one option. I don't know if that's what Tzim went for there. The Waterfall coming out, almost taking out the Scrafty. Scrafty barely hanging on with 3 HP. It does finish off the Gyarados though. That is one threat down, but we still have a whole team in the back for Pixixy here. The Psychic does come out, super effective Psychic, and it does. Oh, that's a lot of damage.
50, I guess 50%, it is although, yeah, it's a plus one,
right? +1 from the Meteor Beam. Yeah, makes sense. I mean, yeah, but I guess now the Roaring Moon gets to hit super effective knockoff into that Deoxys as well, right? And even though there's no item, it'll still do a good amount of damage.
Yeah. I mean, either way, this Roaring Moon just gets a free kill here.
Yeah, I would agree. The Mew switching back out into Magma Zone, just kind of switching those type matchups, which is fair. We do see the Protect coming up from Scrafty here. Dragon Claw trying to finish out that Scrafty, so Tzim did catch that. What will he do with his Deoxys is the question. Does click Psychic into this newly switched into Magma Zone, which is the best option you really have, right? So not much you can do from there.
Yeah, now with
the option
with Scrafty using Protect, it's almost certainly a free hit into that Scrafty, and then a Specs move into that Deoxys.
Yeah, and not much you can do about that, right? You can you can click Volt Switch if you want to keep the momentum going, or you could just lock into Thunderbolt, which will do pretty good damage no matter what. So I think you're right. This is probably we do see Dragon Claw coming out, finishing the Scrafty, and just a lonesome Deoxys, which I don't think he can do it by himself, unfortunately. Thunderbolt coming out, Choice Specs Thunderbolt, almost finishing off the Deoxys. Meteor Beam is clicked. I have a feeling we will not be seeing the conclusion of this Meteor Beam, though.
Most likely not, unfortunately. And the light screen running out just as the nail in the coffin there.
Yeah. So the big question is, Pixixy just showed that he had both a lot of good offensive options into Tzim's team and, good defense with light screen and other options like that, the coaching. So what does Tzim even have to kind of combat that? I'm not sure. One thing, he has the Empoleon with competitive, right? Which could, we saw the Gyarados lead last time. He could catch that and maybe do something with that. The problem is this Petrunt, which I think is usually a good offensive option with Nasty Paw, is just so pressured both before Terra and after Terra, right?
Yeah. I'm also a bit hopeful for maybe the Moltres to come in and do some things just to deal with that Magnezone.
Yeah,
because if the Empoleon does come, that Magnezone is gonna be eating through it.
That's true. Magnezone would love to see Empoleon, right? So let's see. Maybe let's see if Tzim has a similar idea. He's going for that Moltres. Gets him the Tailwind. Gets him it is a Sash Moltres, so I'm assuming there's a lot of special attack investment in it here. So, and he's bringing the Petron again, which makes sense. It is his main piece here, and I think the Scrafty look good. I do agree this decision that the Deoxys didn't look that great, right? I mean, it has the power of option, but yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, just not being able to hit Roaring Moon, I think, is a big thing that you have to consider. Because it's not doing much damage otherwise.
Yeah.
Like, once it uses Meteor Beam, all it can really click is Psychic.
Yeah, can't hit the Roaring Moon like you said. Can't really hit Magnezone very well. If the Mew doesn't tear, I also can't really hit that. So yeah, the single Psychic as an offensive option. It makes sense if you're running some kind of supportive Deoxys, but with the Deoxys that seems a little more focused on offense, it's just not really providing much to this battle. So I think leaving it behind is the correct option here.
Oh, absolutely.
And on Pixixy, he doesn't really change much, right? That looked really good. He had good offensive pieces, so we'll be curious to see if it's a similar game plan here from him.
Yeah, I wonder if he might try and bring the Blaziken just to break those screens and get through those Pokemon faster on Tzim's side, but given the dominance of Magnezone and Roaring Moon in that match, I don't think it's very likely.
Yeah, we see the Mew, we see the Magnezone, which both came last game, but not in this order, so maybe not one to, if he has Gyarados in the back, maybe not one to lead it in case he considered a competitive Empoleon switch. But here this is a pretty nice Heat Wave option, right, for the Magnezone. For the Moltres. The Magnezone is sturdy though, so it will be taking one attack no matter what. That is the one thing to consider. However, if you double up with a Fake Out, for example, which we do see Fake Out coming actually into the Mew, and the Heat Wave coming out.
Heat Wave does connect.
Okay, yeah, takes the Mew low. Volt Switch coming out. This is going to do a lot. That is a Specs Volt Switch, so...
into the Scrafty too, which is a very key part of this team.
Yeah, I agree that the dark and fighting offensive options look very good, and Gyarados can come out pretty safely here. It wants to be able to click a water move into that Moltres, and it likes to get the Intimidate off into the Scrafty. So pretty good spot for Pixixy already, right?
Yeah, very much so. I wonder if Tzim will try to set up that Tailwind and potentially try to gain the speed advantage here. Although if the Mew goes for Tailwind as well, he's still going to be slower across the board.
Yeah, Tailwind is interesting in this matchup because both teams are so defensive. I wonder how much the speed order even matters. I think Light Screen might even be a better choice, right? It lets you just take attacks because at the end of the day, we're struggling to see the damage from the Tzim side here, and the Waterfall coming out, bringing the Moltres very low. It was Sash. The Flame Body though, that's a big deal. Not only mitigating that attack, but that slow chip across the game might end up mattering.
Yeah, especially with how bulky most of Tzim's team is and the recovery options that it has. That burn is going to be absolutely massive in making sure this Petulant can stay alive for as long as it can.
Yeah, it's a big deal, and Petulant is in a decent spot here to potentially go for a nasty plot if it wanted to. Yeah, he was not doing that much damage to the Light Screen. Oh, Shadow Ball just coming out with a Tailwind, outspeeding the Mew, but wow, really just not doing that much damage. I think it really needs that nasty plot up first before it can start really putting in good damage. That Thunder Wave is really unfortunate. Just making sure that Petron is always going to be moving last now that that Pixixy has Tailwind set up. Yes. Just guaranteeing the speed control in that case, and again, I think now might be the chance to go for it. I think we need to get Nasty Paws as soon as possible, because if you're ever going to get a chance to do it, I think it's now. I understand the Mew is pressuring with the Psychic Noise, but the truth is, Psychic Noise it won't do the most amount of damage, and it is a leftovers. I guess that does block the lefty's recovery, right? So, yeah, it's interesting. I wonder if he thought maybe the Shadow Ball would even do a little bit more to that Mew, but.
Yeah, I mean, that light screen definitely saved it. I don't think it would have lived without the light screen.
Yeah, for sure. Psychic Noise coming out. It does, about 30-35% to the Petrant, so that's good damage. Air Slash doing a lot. That's a critical hit to the light screen. You'd love to see that if you're Tzim. The Moltres going down though.
Yeah, no flinch though, so that Moltres will go down.
Yeah.
To the Gyarados. And then a paralysis on the Petrant. That is very brutal.
Yeah, I mean, Pixixy just putting himself in these spots to get those lucky positions, right? I mean, just going for those T-waves early just opens up the chances for that. We're gonna see the Scrafty come back out, getting another Intimidate off. I mean, this Gyarados won't be doing much damage. I mean, it's burnt, intimidated, but I guess the Scrafty is, getting a super effective knockoff into that Mew would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if the move is to just fake it out so it can't get that damage on the Petrant, but the Mew is still going to outspeed both of these Pokemon next turn, so it's going to get a Psychic Noise off no matter what. Yeah,
Tzim had the option maybe to double into the Mew potentially. I mean, I don't believe the Mew is carrying Protect, so if you deem it the bigger threat, it is actually going to switch out. So I wonder if maybe Raymond thought that, or Pixixy thought that was an option. The Magnezone coming back in, which looks well. We'll see. Depends what the Petrant ends up doing. Oh, Taunt coming in. So Pixixy blocking. Blocking potential Nasty Plot, but I don't believe. Oh, well, I guess we'll never know, right? Because it's another full paralysis.
Yeah, I believe he clicked the Shadow Ball into the Gyarados.
Yeah.
But not only can it not click Nasty Plot, it can't click Protect to guard itself from that Magnezone.
Right. Yeah, I guess I was mentioning click the Nasty Plot before. There was the pressure of the Taunt, so that does make sense to not click the Nasty Plot. But now, Tailwind is up for one more turn on Pixixy's side, and he has the obvious speed advantage. And even though Magnezone is naturally pretty slow, we do see the Gyarados switching out, maybe trying to save Intimidate for later. This is actually the Roaring Moon coming in, yeah. Let me see, the booster energy. Is this attack or speed, I guess is the question, right? It is attack.
It is attack, yes.
Right, that does make overall more sense.
Thunderbolt getting blocked into the Protect. Very interesting. Yeah. If the Petrant clicks Shadow Ball into the Magnezone, that could be very big. But of course it's paralyzed.
That's the third full paralysis in a row. Lefty's helping out a little bit, but yeah, I mean, it's bound to happen, but I don't know if it's bound to happen 3 times in a row, unfortunately. Several chances there where a Shadow Ball, could have come in and finish off one of these problem Pokemon, so again, not a great position for Tzim here. The Scrafty is pressuring a lot of damage with this close combat, so I am curious to see, what ends up doing. The Roaring Moon is Terra Steel also, so it cannot terrestrialize after. It cannot terrestrialize out of the fighting weakness.
Yes, although I think this Magnezone is faster than the Scrafty, so it could just toss a Specs Thunderbolt into that slot and
that might
make sure it can't even get a close combat off.
We see the Empoleon coming out here for the first time. Dragon Claw coming out first and just taking out the Scrafty. I mean, that's all.
Makes sense with that attack booster.
Yep. And the super effective Specs Thunderbolt just taking out the Empoleon. I don't think it had a chance in front of the Magnezone. Yeah.
If it had been able to come in on the next turn, it could have gone for a Vacuum Wave into that slot.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
Honestly, that Petrant. Oh, we will just see a forfeit here.
I can't blame him. I don't really see a way out of this one. I think he made the right adaptations. I like the Moltres that was putting off good damage, especially threatening those burns. But like you pointed out beforehand, bringing the Empoleon is just make you even more susceptible to the Magma Zone, right? So you have to be super careful. And yeah, the taunt pressure into the Petrant just doesn't really let you nasty plot. It's a great setup from Pixixy here, and I just don't know what Tzim is supposed to do exactly.
Yeah, I mean, the Thunder Wave has been absolutely brutal for these first two games, getting, I think, at least 2, probably even 3 full paras on the Deoxys and Petrant, just making sure they can't do a single thing.
Yeah, I'm thinking the 4 Pokemon that Tzim brought are probably the correct ones. I don't think we should bring the Deoxys back. I don't think that it's going to help at all. And he also left behind the Grimmsnarl, which I think is overall fair. Thunderwave doesn't look as good into Pixixy's team as it does into Tzim's team, is the truth. And while the screens help, there's the Brick Break option potentially. So I didn't get a chance to see he locked in so quickly, but I'm assuming he locked a very similar game plan as in Game 2 there.
Yes, it looks like he left the Empoleon behind in favor of that Grimmsnarl.
Okay, well that's fair. The Moltres staying, I think, is obviously a good choice. That seemed to provide a lot of both speed control and good offense.
Honestly, I would love to see that Grimmsnarl just click Thunderwave into everything on Pixixy's team and just get some revenge.
I mean, that would be great. The only problem is you have the Mew with Lumberry and Synchronize. You have the Dark type Roaring Moon, which can't get affected by Prankster. You have the Electric type Magnezone, which can't get paralyzed. So
that's a lot of things that cannot get paralyzed.
Yeah. However, you can still paralyze the Gyarados, and I mean you can burn the Lumberry and paralyze the Mew, I guess. So yeah, we'll see.
I did forget about that Dark type Prankster thing though.
Yeah, no, that's a big deal for. That's a big deal. Although the Grimmsnarl is running Spirit Break, so it does have this double super effective option into the Roaring Moon if it doesn't Terastallize, right? So we will see a light screen coming out, which I think these screens were. I think Tzim's kind of combining the best of both worlds. Right? The screens were looking pretty good, and we get the nasty plot off. This is what we kind of needed, that early momentum, right? Will be the Flash Cannon.
Flash Cannon. We'll see how much damage this does.
Okay, it does live.
Just barely living. Just barely.
I mean, but that might be all you need, right? Getting a Reflect off here might be very important. Again, Thunderwave isn't an option here, so it's either going for Reflect or going for the Spirit Break. Yeah, I think Reflect makes the most sense. I think putting Petrant in the best position possible to just take the game away by itself might be the best solution here, right?
Yeah, I would not be surprised to see the Terra Steel come out from Pixixy's side just to make sure it can't be Malignant chained.
Yeah.
Although no Terra.
Yeah, the Petrant is still under that pin of. Okay, the Ironhead finishing off the Grimmsnarl, so I was wondering if we get that knockoff Flash Cannon combination like we saw in that earlier game. Petrant getting to click another nasty plot. Oh wow. I don't. That's definitely an interesting option. Leftovers will recover some of that damage. I wonder if we bring up, for example, the Scrafty now, we get to both intimidate the Roaring Moon and have Fake Out, and I think that puts Petrant in a amazing spot. The Moltres could also come out and threaten, Tailwind, for example. But I really like bringing the Scrafty out here, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you have a very free Shadow Ball into that Magnezone slot, and I don't think there's anything that resists or is immune besides that Roaring Moon, which can't switch in for the Magnezone, so...
Right. That is
Shadow Ball's going to be doing a lot of damage.
Yeah, absolutely. The Pixixy's team doesn't really have... not that many protects on it, right? I mean, there's some protects, but Magnezone can't protect. I mean, the Roaring Moon could protect, but yeah, like you said, the Shadow Ball is just a free option. We will see the knockoff coming out. Well, that does still do a lot of damage, though.
Oh.
Wow. Shadow Ball coming out into the Magnezone, I would presume. Oh, it is sturdy, though. Critical hit.
Oh, the sturdy.
Oh, man, and...
It does get a Spadef drop, though.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that will matter. Oh, the Petrant just got the one attack off.
I mean, it's very possible all it needed was that.
Oh. The close combat taking
out on the Roaring Moon. That is huge for the Scrafty.
Yeah, the Moltres could come out here. It's in pretty decent position. Yeah.
Yeah. The only danger though is that Scrafty now has the permanent defenses dropped from that close
That's
combat,
true.
so it will be taking a lot more damage from that Magnezone.
That's definitely true. I mean, it's just these last two Pokemon for Tzim here. And I think he just has to kind of go all... I mean, he has to click the... Well, don't forget that Mew only has a Psychic move. Oh. I was going to say Mew only has a Psychic move, so he doesn't... So, the natural typing of Scrafty...
Do you remember who was faster between the Mew and the Moltres?
I don't know. That's a good... given the Moltres' Sash, I think... Well, I guess, yeah, the Mew's base speed is higher, right? So, I'm not sure. Actually.
I guess we'll find out. I mean, depending if the Mew's faster, it could have clicked Tailwind and then let the Magnezone attack first, although it doesn't look like we'll see it come out here with a Terra from the Mew.
Terra Poison. The Terra Poison coming out to avoid the super effective knockoff damage. That makes sense. Yeah, let's see what comes out here. It is a Tailwind from Mew
is faster.
First.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a big deal. Heat Wave just coming out. Not doing too much damage. And knockoff here, removing that Lumberry, but
that's
not the damage that Tzim need to see. Yeah.
I mean, I think that Gyarados is probably just looking to take out that Scrafty because the Mew can't really touch it. We'll have to see what it clicks. I mean, a Thunder Wave is just... a Thunder Wave would just be BM at this point, I feel. after what happened in games 1 and 2, I would not like to see more Thunder Waves connect.
Yeah, this Moltres is just going to have a very hard time doing damage here. The Waterfall does come out into the Protect. I think Tzim making the read he has to make to even stay in this game. The Air Slash coming out, doing so little damage to that Gyarados, unfortunately, through the Light Screen and through its bulk, which it has. It also has the Covert Cloak, so it can't even get flinched by that Air Slash even if it wanted to, or burnt by a Heat Wave for that matter, right? So, I just don't think the damage up is here. The Psychic Noise coming out, breaking the Sash.
Just breaking out both Sash, yeah.
Yeah. And from there, Waterfall. So double into the Moltres taking it out. Oh no, actually, it
doesn't kill.
Flame Body comes through here.
That's honestly a bit surprising. I'm shocked it didn't get the kill there.
Yeah, there is the Reflect still up on this side from that.
That is very true. That would do it for sure.
That would do it. I mean, Raymond's Pokemon are low, but Tzim's Pokemon are also low. I just don't think the speed control is in Pixixy's favor here. Yeah,
I think Tzim's going to need a lot of hard reads here with the Protects to make sure he can close it out. But
yeah, I like the option of not becoming the Scrafty here, though, because the Scrafty is actually not that pressured, right? The Mew can't even hit it, and the Gyarados can go for a Waterfall, but it's burnt now, and it might have been intimidated once. I maybe not, but it goes for the Thunder Wave instead. Wow. I guess that's an option. I wonder if just getting the damage off was more worth it, but I guess I just got.
And there's another full para. Oh my god.
Yeah. I like Tzim making the plays he needed to make, I think, and see now. Yeah, now the Tailwind
is still
advantage
faster
is on Tzim's
though.
favor. The Tailwind's up on this side, I believe, right?
No,
I think one
not.
more turn.
I don't believe Tzim has the Tailwind up.
I think the Moltres clicked Tailwind the turn after the Mew clicked Tailwind, but I could be wrong.
If it did, that's really good. It didn't. It did not. Okay.
Okay, I guess I'm wrong about that. Fair enough. Well, that's finishing off the Moltres there. Just a little bit all it needed, and unfortunately, the Scrafty paralyzed and getting. It's not doing much damage, but a flinch and a paralysis. This is not
another one.
Oh
my god.
Yeah.
I mean luckily this
is taking itself out.
This Mew can't do anything to the Scrafty.
That's true. So, the unfortunate problem here is that eventually the Magnezone's going to come out, right, and be able to get a big attack off.
Well, the Magnezone is only at 1 HP, so I don't know what Tzim is looking to do here.
Yeah, I think Tzim's out here is kind of just to stall out these.
Oh, that Terra is going to make this a lot more difficult, I think.
I agree. I think Tzim really had a win con here is the truth, right? Because the Mew just can't touch it. The Gyarados is burnt and is taking itself out slowly. If it could live one
The fake out here,
attack,
though.
yeah, the coaching is a solid option. Yeah.
I still think I still think a knockoff could have killed, though. To be quite honest.
That's what I'm thinking. I think Tzim may have counted himself out a little too early here. I think this game wasn't over. But
yeah, I think it's really just dependent on how much that Magnezone could have done with a single Specs Thunderbolt. But
that's what it really comes down to, right? And especially because the Reflex. Oh yeah, that's gonna do a lot of damage. And that will be the set. I think we just saw two defensive teams coming at each other, and Pixixy just had those tools to take out those pieces, and unfortunately Tzim just didn't have necessarily the offensive capabilities to keep up, right?
Yeah, and those paralysis turns were, I think, the biggest factor in a lot of those games, just because the Pecharunt and Deoxys were struggling to get moves off, along with that Scrafty in Game 3.
Yeah, and we have both of our players back.
Mag, Roaring Moon, Mew, and Gyarados are like, I had no good options for that thing, and it just, it was fine. It was just like, god dang. Every time I was like, struggling to get the right matchup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was having a lot of trouble picking out a Terra this week, because, like, every Terra I wanted, I'm like, man, you're gonna have some kind of coverage. Like, the only one that looked really good for Pecharunt was Bug, but I was so worried about acrobatics on Roaring Moon, which it probably could tank like 1 or 2, but still. I was just, it was tough. It was a tough week for me.
The Fairy was a good option in theory, but Raymond just had the good pin of having the Specs Flash Cannon and the Iron Head on the Roaring Moon.
Yeah.
Covered you very well, unfortunately.
Yeah. But yeah, I just didn't have enough juice in the tank to get you. I was outclassed.
Yeah. I don't know if I mean, I definitely got very fortunate in a lot of circumstances, but I mean, I agree. I think the 4 that I kept bringing were kind of, like, basically unstoppable. Scrafty was like the biggest problem, but I was like, if I just position around it and disable its teammates, I think I'll be okay. So that was kind of my game plan for all 3 games.
Yeah, Sade and I were talking about it, and we kind of felt like there was a world at the end there where, like, the Scrafty, it can't get hit by the Mew, the Gyarados itself down.
There definitely was.
If it can take an attack from the Magnezone, I mean, there's a world that it could live through everything, but we didn't get to see it out, and the paralysis was definitely not helping either.
I mean, I'll say...
I think it would have been very close.
I'll say that Scrafty does not get one-shot by my Magnezone's spread, so... I like, there was a turn where I pressed Thunder Wave into Scrafty, and I was like, wait, what am I doing? I need to get this chip off. Like, I'm an idiot. I think I thought I threw the game, but I guess the paralysis.
Yeah, and then you instantly got the full paralysis. I mean,
yeah.
it was a -1.
Oh, I guess I win anyway.
I think it was -1 to close combat at that point anyway. Also, so you have to.
Yeah, I didn't have much faith. I had faith at the part where I was like, okay, the Mew can't hurt me right now, but and then I was just after a point, I was like, I'm just toast. So.
Yeah, I forgot about the close combat drop.
But
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I mean,
I was also really confused game 1. I need to like rewatch it or whatever, because my Grimmsnarl was paralyzed, but I fucking prankster. I'm so stupid. Duh. I don't even know. I was like,
no. I think you're talking about when the Synchronize activated on the Mew.
Yeah, that's what I was so confused about. Like, but
well, you were already you paralyzed the Mew. And then it cured itself with the Lumberry, and then it tried to paralyze the Grimmsnarl back, but the Grimmsnarl was already parried. So
I forgot about like me being pranked, because I was like, okay, well, I kind of had an idea how I was gonna. It didn't play out how I wanted it to, but I was also just like, what the fuck? So it's alright.
I had thought that I like Thunder Waved into it on accident. I was like, wait, did I just like third turn this turn? But
yeah, is that the first time Synchronize has ever come up in your entire season?
I think so. Yeah, it's not a very good ability. It's pretty sucky.
I think I only had Flame Body like proc twice my whole season, and it was versus Raymond, so I never got Flame Body procs, I don't think, at least. Not very many, but
Yeah.
the game was trying to help me out, but
A little bit at some points.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I would say it was helping you out game 1 and 2 with all those full paralyzes. That was
Yeah.
that was rough to watch. But I mean, the Petront was very interesting. I think going for the double nasty plot. I think it could have put in a lot of work if it.
Yeah,
just had a bit
I
more
respect
HP.
that. I respect the decision. It's hard to know how much damage it's going to take, right? Because you think, oh, it's a super effective knockoff, but you have the reflect up. It's intimidated. It's just a lot of different multipliers and other factors coming in. Unfortunately, yeah, it just didn't pan out. But I saw the vision. I liked where the spot you were in, getting nasty pot up and getting the screens up. I thought it was looking okay. Yeah.
There was definitely a world, but I like the turn you're talking about. I doubled into it. I was like, I can't, like, if this thing comes out against Mew, I'm in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
I was really scared for my backline, and I pretty much made my peace that like one of my Pokemon's gonna die this turn. I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna have to attack this to take care of Pekka, and yeah.
Yeah, and the sturdy also really coming into play.
That was
Really
clutch.
very useful ability across the board.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was
Yeah.
good games, Raymond.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and with that,
Tzim, I'm curious.
Yeah,
I have a quick question for you.
What's
What? So what was the goal behind the Deoxys set? Because the meteor beam was a very interesting tech. I think we just didn't see it pan out exactly
Yeah,
the way.
Yeah.
think
I
it could
I was like, getting a free +1 like that could be good, and then doing more damage, but behind the light screen, and then also just like not being very type effective against a lot of his guys, it just didn't work very great in the hindsight. But I was thinking that there was a scenario where it could get going really good, but I think the light screen, it's obviously not dealing a lot of damage in the first place, but the light screen really just like crippled it. So.
yeah, I think you dropping after game 1 was probably the right decision. I think it kind of showed that it wasn't really providing much, and yeah, well, definitely, yeah, it wasn't. I like the Empoleon idea as well. Unfortunately, Empoleon just didn't love to see that Magna Zone either, right?
Yeah, no, the Magazine was really good against a lot of my team.
I mean, I liked a lot of your sets. I think just the light screen from Pixixy really slowed things down a lot, where he was able to take advantage of that.
Gyarados was definitely the mileage man, though, Raymond. The taunts were fucking good, and the P-Waves were good, and Gyarados was the man, I would say.
He's goated. He's a super good support Pokemon. I'm really glad I picked him up this season.
Yeah,
Always has been.
And with that, Raymond, you have moved on to play Fury in the semifinals. So
Oh boy.
we'll be looking forward to that. And I think that's about all we have for now. Look forward to next week with more playoff matches and cup matches. And until then, we've been ESPN. See you guys.